Namaste, welcome to first lesson in punk rock yoga. But before we get started, I gotta ask you something really important. Have you seen The Karate Kid? Because if you haven't, you should turn this off and go watch it. And if you haven't seen it in a while, let me refresh your memory. You see, The Karate Kid, the original Karate Kid, is the story of a young boy named Daniel, and he's being bullied by a bunch of bullyish bullies at his school. So he goes to see an old master so that he can learn karate. And the old master says, sure, I'll teach you karate. And then he goes for his first lesson and he gets handed like a sponge and he gets asked to wash off all the cars. And then he tells him,
wax on, wax off.
But he goes back the next day and he says, hey, am I going to do some karate today? And he says, yeah, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to sand the floor. So he teaches him how to do this, right?
Right the circle, left the circle.
And then he comes back the next day and he's all pissed off. He's like, hey, man, are we going to do karate? He's like, yeah, I'm going to teach you karate, but first you got to paint this fence.
Up, down.
So day after day, he's going to see this wise old master, and the master's just telling him to do these silly things that seem completely unrelated to karate. That is until he gets fed up and says, what am I learning all this for? And here's what happens.
Show me wax on, wax off. Yes! Yes! Show me paint the fence. Yes! Yes! Show me sand the floor. Yes! Yes!
So we're going to begin by doing something very similar, Daniel-san. I'm going to be teaching you some skills that are going to seem unrelated to yoga, but I guarantee you, if you follow along with this program, you're going to be fighting back against pain, against mobility loss, against aging, and fighting back against maybe a yoga practice that's become pretty stale.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for them.
If you're ready to swallow the red pill and escape the yoga matrix, this video is for you because we're going to learn how to move the body with confidence, skill, and become human again.
Come on. Let's see if we blow up and die.
You don't need a mat, you don't need a block, you don't need a strap. All you got to do is get on your feet and follow along with my movements. We're starting in
1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, cool. Remember, Daniel-san, you took the red pill. So we're going to pop out of the matrix and take a look at some different type of yoga ideas. Initiating punk rock yoga. I don't know about you, but I'm excited. There you can see my feet. They're in symmetry. That means both of my feet are next to each other. How far apart they are doesn't make a difference. Both of my heels are equidistant to that wall behind me, so my feet are in symmetry. But if I step one foot or the other back or forward, my feet are asymmetrical. So I'm going to step the left foot back, and that puts us in a fight stance. It's called a fight stance because if you were about to get into a fight, you would probably adopt this posture.
I'm gonna you up.
You don't need to take a step forward. What I want to point out to you is the fact that we are only using a portion of the gait cycle to rock.
Let's get rocking!
Your feet on the ground right now, if you're moving forward and backwards, lifting the back heel as you go forward and lifting the forefoot of your right foot as you go back. Quick word here, your forefoot is the front half of your foot. It's not just your toes. There's a difference between lifting your toes off the ground and lifting your forefoot off the ground. So when I go back, I'm on the heel, and when I go forward, I'm off my back heel onto the forefoot. So my 2 feet together, and as you perform this too, I hope it starts to make sense, this feeling you have in your body that both of your feet together are performing the function of one of those curved wooden planks that creates a rocking chair. You're literally rocking backwards and forward, and that's why we're calling it rocking. Also, you've got joints in your foot, and they're called rockers because that's exactly what walking essentially is. It's using your heel, which is a ball, to rock on.
I want to know more about this.
The first thing that we begin with when we're developing our punk rock yoga practice is learning to rock back and forth. What we're doing is we're taking a portion of the gait cycle and we're just going over it again and again and again.
What we're doing is getting shit done.
What we want to do is get really good at smoothly distributing our weight to the front foot and to the back foot. we're taking, again, one portion of the gait cycle. We're moving from mid-stance to pre-swing. Mid-stance to pre-swing is exactly what we're practicing. When you go from your back foot, bringing weight onto your front foot, and you're about to take your back foot off the ground. We want to get really good at feeling that feeling. Let's go ahead and switch back to symmetry. Our feet are together. We're going to step the right foot back this time into an asymmetrical stance, our first one, and we call it fight stance. So you did really well there on the first side. I'm trying not to burp. I shouldn't have drank those 7 beers before class. I'm just kidding. I don't drink. I get high on yoga.
Are you fucking high?
When I go forward, my right heel lifts. When I go back, my left forefoot lifts. Forward and back, forward and back. We're doing this for 2 minutes. I don't know about you, but I'm excited. This is exciting. You're learning something new, and it may not feel like that right away. And again, that is why I gave you the metaphor of the Karate Kid. This is not going to make sense right away, but it is important that you develop these skills first.
Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you.
A word about the bottom of your foot, because hopefully you're barefoot, and if you're not, it still works. That's the beauty of it. But if you're barefoot, what you're doing is you're giving your feet the opportunity to feel the environment underneath them, to get a feeling of ground reaction force. And my feet are on a rug, so I'm using all of those thousands and thousands of nerve endings in my feet to develop tactile sensation, pulling that awareness out of the ground so I can feel where I am in space and feel where my center of mass is in space. And am I moving it smoothly backwards and forwards from one foot to the other? Because that's really what walking is. That's what makes us distinctly human, is the fact that we can, with little effort, with little metabolic requirement, we can move forward and back. And that's what separates us from apes, is that unique shape of our foot, unique shape of our knees, hips, and everything that allows us to go forward and back. So we practice this forward and back, so that we can feel our body weight, our center of mass being smoothly controlled from foot to foot. From symmetry, we're going to step back into fight stance. I want to give you a different term, though. When your right foot is forward in a fight stance, you're in southpaw. We're going to borrow these terms from fighting or from boxing.
Come again.
And we're going to add on here. And what we're going to add on is our swing. Now, you may not realize it, but when you're walking, you do swing your arms. And if you don't believe me, try walking down the street and not swinging your arms. You'll look like a weirdo.
Weird.
So what we're going to do is start to swing the arms with awareness. Now, when I'm going back, my right hand is going forward, but I want you to pay particular attention, because when I come forward onto my right foot, my left hand goes forward. And the reason for that is, if I was about to take a step forward and lift my left foot off the ground behind me, I would need some of my body weight, my shoulder, my arm, to be in front of me on the left side. That's what helps us control our gait. That's why we don't fall over when we take a step. Simultaneously, as I go forward, notice that my right hand goes back, because I need to bring some of my weight of my upper body back. What we're trying to do is just ambulate to create this center axis where my shoulders and my hips are rotating over each other. When we switch our fight stance to left foot forward, we're in an orthodox stance. And again, we're going to start by rocking, feeling our feet on the ground and feeling a smooth transition of our body weight. A smooth, graceful distribution of our body weight forward to back. Let's add on the swinging. So now my left foot's in front. That means when I go forward and plant my left foot, my right hand is going to go forward with it. Simultaneously, as I go forward onto my left foot, my left hand goes back. Because it's really not where the hands are going.
I'm not sure what to do with my hands.
The hands just indicate where the shoulders are going. So you'll see as I go forward, my right shoulder comes forward. And again, it's to create this feeling that I'm taking my body weight, my body everywhere it is, and I'm just kind of coiling it around the center. And I would refer to that as winding. And we're going to practice winding here in a moment. Not whining, mind you. Winding. Winding. Did I say winding 3 times? Winding.
Give us the line again.
We're winding. All right, guys. Get ready. We're going to switch. So now we want to start to make quicker switches because it should be very easy and natural to go from a fight stance right to fight stance left. So I'm back to rocking. My right foot is forward, so I'm in a southpaw stance. And now I can start to just play around with that axial rotation. Maybe I'm rotating a little bit more at the thorax. Here we go. This is our tether. Now we're finally taking a step forward, but you're not planting that left foot. Notice it is floating above the ground in front of me. I'm not lifting it high. It is only an inch or two off the ground. Step back and tether. That's when you take that back foot, bring it forward, but don't plant it. You're just balancing on your right foot. Shifting back, taking the weight off and putting it back on the right foot entirely. This is where we naturally take our swinging. This is where we naturally take our rocking and swinging leads to a tether where we can bring that foot forward and pause. I'm really tall. Notice if you're slouching, you want to be really tall. And then we create winding from there, as I mentioned before. And that's when I go from a tether to a tandem. You can see that now my left foot is swinging, going forward and back. When it's behind me, it's in a tandem. When it goes forward, it's in a tether. You could also notice here that my left foot, as it goes forward and back, is not going straight forward and back like a pendulum. It's going in a semicircular type of a movement. Switch your stance to your orthodox fight stance. And we're going to begin again. Simply start by rocking forward and back. When you've got that feeling in your feet, add your arms and add your swing. We swing so that we can feel how we distribute our body weight up and down the kinetic chain. There's our first tether. So our right foot is in front of us. Again, I want to say don't lift that right foot very high into the air. Don't kick it into the air. We're not trying to get a hip flexor, workout or anything like this. This is simply about almost taking a step forward and then deciding not to plant the foot. Then, when we start to go forward and back, we're going to be winding. So there's my foot in tether. Get nice and tall. And here's where we're going to wind. So when my right foot goes back, I'm not going to plant it. I'm just going to swing it. So as you do the second side, really pay attention to the feeling that your arm and your hip, your right leg and your right hip are doing the exact opposite movement of your shoulders and your arms. Switching stances. Now, you may not realize it at first, but you're learning Jedi skills here. This is going to make you look so graceful, so cool. So here we go. I'm rocking.
Go, 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 go.
And I'm tethering into flight. Flight is when I lift my right hand and my left knee. Notice as I reach up with my right arm and lift the left knee, I'm also reaching down with my left hand and pushing down into the right heel. So there's these opposing energies that are really important to pay attention to. Switch your fight stance into an orthodox. Begin your rock, your swing. When you're ready, when you feel confident that you're going to plant and land confidently on your left foot, tether, and then take your left arm, and reach up with it as you lift your right knee. So notice that the right knee and the left hand are going up, and also the right hand and the left heel are reaching and pressing down. So one side is very tight and compacted, one side feels like it's lengthening. We're going to try that again, only we're going to try that just a little bit smoother, really quicker. This is why we practiced all of these things. That's why you spent 10 minutes just waking up all of these muscles so that they would respond instead of react. Tether, flight. Step back, switch your stance. Left foot's in front. That means I'm going to tether the right foot. And looking Good. And all the way up, just in one smooth movement. Yes, baby. Yes, baby. And that's what that looks like. I'm going to return to a symmetry stance. And that's where we're going to end today.
5 stars, Angel. 5 stars.
I sure do appreciate checking out this video, and I hope you see you in the next one and increase those odds. Don't make me say it. You know what they always say.